Hi, everybody. Just checking if you can see and hear me okay. Let me know on the chat if you can see and hear me okay. I think we're having issues with here we go. I think we're all up and running now. Hi, everyone. Can you please just let me know if you can see and hear me okay? And then we will get started. We should have, hi, Lisa. Thank you so much. Okay. Good news. I thought I was on my own there for a minute. There's nothing worse than just talking to yourself, although I'm quite used to it. Fantastic. Okay, well, I'll start again. My name is Nicky Christmas. I'm the founder and editor of Practically Perfect PA and the EA Campus. And today we are talking about managing momentum and moving tasks forward. We've got about 45 minutes for the session today, so I'm going to jump into the presentation. Please do stick around to the end. I will make sure that I answer any questions that you have. Please do offer as much as you can in the chat to each other. I always feel like we can learn loads from each other as we go through. So if you do have any tips or tricks to share, please do pop them in the chat and make this as interactive as possible. Okay, so as I said, in this session, I will be talking about one of the critical areas where assistants add tremendous value. It might be something you don't really think about or give yourselves enough credit for, but that significant key area that adds loads of value is, and are you ready for this? It's a big one. It's getting stuff done. So I'm going to repeat that, getting stuff done. Now, it might not sound groundbreaking or really worth spending the next half an hour on, but before you switch off your YouTube or your LinkedIn, please do bear with me. Please hear me out. Maintaining momentum on work and moving tasks forward, being the person that makes it their priority to do those two things adds a considerable amount of value to any organization. You know the scene. Your team has a bunch of ideas that never get out of the development stage because the momentum drops off the projects and other more pressing tasks take over. You attend a committee meeting where several projects are put forward, but once you are out of the meeting, no one takes responsibility for the tasks and nothing moves forward. Again, just let me know on the chat if that is something that sounds ridiculously familiar to you. I know it certainly does for most of us that work in an office. And then there are those everyday tasks that are important, but get put off once they are either forgotten or become a problem that then needs urgent attention. So let me know if that sounds familiar. A lot of wasted time and effort ultimately lowers productivity and impacts the bottom line. We all know that. So how can assistants help their organizations and executives move tasks forward, ensure work is completed and momentum is managed? I'm going to just have a quick drink of water because my throat is getting a bit sticky there. And I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is what we're going to look at in this session. We're going to look at how momentum works and staying focused. We're going to look at tactics for managing momentum and moving tasks forward. And we're going to look at the GTD workflow framework. So I'll give you a quick second just to look at what we're going to cover so we're ready to go. Okay, so how does momentum work? And how can you help those around you stay focused on the tasks? Maintaining momentum at work can be challenging, especially when faced with unexpected obstacles or shifting priorities. It can be even more complicated when the task doesn't necessarily sit on your to-do list. Instead, it's been delegated to someone within your team or your executive's direct reports. And your role is to chase them for updates and coax them into doing the work. Does that sound familiar to you? So how can you maintain momentum on projects and tasks for someone else to do, but you need to push forward? Let's look at this to start with. So you need first to have a good sense of what is going on and where the current focus is. So that means having a good oversight of the goals and objectives of your executive, team, department, organization, or whatever it happens to be. Everything suggested from projects to simple tasks should relate to the goals for the year ahead and the strategy to make them happen. If oversight of the goals needs to be clarified, then this can be the first area where you can help your organization. If your team is unsure of the priorities cascading down from your executive's office, then you should step in to help to clarify that communication. So let me give you an example. You could introduce a weekly win team newsletter that showcases goals being met or progress reports. You could have a weekly team meeting that lets everybody spend, say, 20 minutes clearly defining the goals and tasks for the week and the month ahead. So there's a couple of examples there of how you can maintain focus, but also how you can ensure communication and information is cascaded down from your executive's office to those who should be doing the work. However you do it, you need to understand the goals and strategies in place and how everything operates around completing those objectives. So as an assistant, that is so important, because one of the things that we do have to do, and we often have to do, is chase other people for work. So we need to help them focus on what's important and get the work done. And to do that, we need to have a really good sense of what the strategic objectives and priorities are for our team and our executive. So the first one I said there is focus. Once goals and objectives are clearly in focus, those around you need to have the motivation to keep pushing forward with tasks. Now, you might well think, well, hang on a minute, Nikki, it's not my job to motivate my colleagues. I mean, particularly if they're getting paid quite a lot more money than you, they've got better benefits, or potentially they have, they're more senior. So you might be thinking, hang on a minute, it's not my job to be motivating anyone. Excuse me, my alarm's going off. I'll stop that. But if you think about it, it is your executive's job to do that. Absolutely, 100%. It is their job to motivate their team. So if you can help facilitate that aspect of their role, you are going to be adding value, huge amount of value. Motivating staff is tricky, really tricky, especially when you've got a ton of other things you need to be doing as an executive. So if you can help facilitate motivation, you are adding a ton of value. So how do you support the motivation of those around you? It sounds like a big ask, but really it's about relationship building. Get to know those around you, bridge any communication gaps between your executive and their team, and ensure everyone has what they need from your executive, including their time, to move their work forward. If your executive is often unavailable, which we know they are often unavailable, how can you help make the team feel valued and valid in your executive's place? How can you facilitate clear and consistent communication? Can you bring in, say, a team survey to understand how motivated the team is and gather feedback on what can be improved? Lastly, if you are constantly chasing the same people for updates, again, let me know on the chat if this sounds familiar to you. So if you're constantly chasing the same people on their work, or you notice that certain team members are struggling, again, take the time to think about why that is happening and constructively have that conversation with your executive to best move forward. So I'm not talking about, dobbing them in or talking about them behind their back. I'm thinking strategically, what is the issue? Why is it always this one person or these few people in your executive's team, in your department, that are struggling to get work in on time, or they're constantly asking for other people to do the work for them, or they're always asking to see your executive because they don't understand what's going on? Strategically think about why that's happening. What is the reason behind it, and what can you do to stop it? Bottlenecks in any system must be addressed and fixed, be it a person slowing things down or a process. Often it's a person. And as the people in our organization who are the process system managers, we need to look at why people are slowing things down as well as processes. So I'm just going to pause for a very brief moment to make sure that you're all with me. Let me know in the chat if those, as I said, if those things sound familiar. If you have come across people who are bottlenecks rather than systems, or if there are any communication gaps in your team or department. Let us know in the chat where you stand with that. I'll bring up the next slide. So the next one is that dreaded word that we all know is majorly important, and it's consistency. Consistency is essential in gaining and generating momentum. You need to be consistent in sticking to the plans and minimizing distractions. So how can you help your team, your executive, your department be more consistent? Think about the things causing distractions or interruptions in your team or your executive's work. Is all of the technology in your office efficient? Does it work well? Is the flow of your office efficient and effective? Are you working well in a hybrid setting? Is there any issues between people who come into the office and those who work from home? There are a lot of physical distractions, particularly within an office setting, that slow people down in their productivity and getting work done. If you can relieve those distractions, you are going to support consistency. So suppose you see areas of improvement that will help those around you and your executive to work and maintain consistent momentum. In that case, it is worth introducing new procedures and having those conversations with your executive. So consistency, again, super important. I think if any of you know anything about productivity, about routines, about sticking to plans and processes, the word consistency always comes up. So do think about those things that are stopping your organization from consistently being productive, and then you can step in and try and solve those issues. Again, it's going to add a ton of value. So how can you add value in moving tasks and projects forward? Now we've looked at momentum, how can we add value specifically in moving projects and tasks forward? I'm going to talk you through 5 tactics you can employ that will help you add value in this area. I just have to stop and just comment on what Sue has said there. I probably wouldn't have a job if I didn't have to chase updates. Well, Sue, I completely see where you're coming from. I hope that this advice helps you just at least manage it all a little bit more. Okay, so tactic number 1, clear and concise project status reports. So ensure everyone in your team can quickly and concisely report their project statuses to your executive and where they are with their tasks. So what is a project status report, for those of you asking it? I'm sure most of you know, but a project status report is a short document or memo or email, usually put together by the project manager to update and inform stakeholders, so teammates, leadership team, clients, about the progress of a specific project. Now, if you guys don't have something like this in place, it's well worth suggesting it to your executive, be it during a one-to-one meeting they have with their project leads or their direct reports. The direct report should always come with a project status report. It really, if you have to do it, if you have a set of tasks, set of projects, and include yourself in this in your one-to-one with your executive, it really focuses the mind on getting those tasks done and being held accountable. So as I said, if you don't have something like this, it's well worth suggesting it to your executive. A project report can be completed as and when it's deemed necessary by your executive for anything that they have delegated or are involved in. It works for large-scale projects, but it also really works well for smaller tasks that have a deadline. So a project report looks something like this. Project name, it's very simple. Project name, so that's the name of the specific project or task. Summary, what has been happening since the last update. Timeline, how much as a percentage is a project near completion. Scope, what is coming up next. Budget, how much has been spent. Status, is it on track? There are no issues. Is it at risk? There are some roadblocks. Is it off track? there are significant roadblocks that require extra input. You can use a RAG status if you want, which is red, amber, green. That's also an effective one for a status report. Achievements, what's been achieved since the last report. Blockers, are there any bottlenecks or blockers that need to be addressed? Action items, what 3 things will be completed by the next update? And praise, this is a great one. So who deserves some recognition? What has gone well? So as I said, please, share this with your team, make sure they're using this when they communicate with your executive, but please you as well use this when you're communicating with your executive. You'll have a ton of projects, tasks that this will be really useful to use in your one-to-one meeting. Creating a regular report can feel like an unnecessary step for many of your colleagues and potentially your executive who will have to review the reports. You can obviously review them for them. Again, another value add. And then what you can do is offer to write a summary of each project. And, if you see someone who's completely off track, then you can flag that with your executive before their one-to-one meeting so that they know the conversation that is going to follow in that meeting. But a simple project update can cut down on meetings and messages. It can clear up confusion. It can identify and resolve issues quickly, and it can ensure everyone is on the same page. So project status reports, really important document that will help manage momentum and move tasks forward. My next tactic is ensuring that your team, executive, department, whatever it happens to be, has meetings and the actions that come out of those meetings are completed. So we're about to talk about dreaded meetings, but bear with me. I know you probably after this webinar, you're probably going to a meeting, but let's just talk about meetings in a productive way. So meetings have a bad reputation regarding productivity and moving tasks forward. But I have to say meetings themselves are okay. They provide really an unmatched opportunity for all of your team connecting, collaborating, making decisions, but only when they are thoughtfully planned and executed. Like underline that, bold that. Your meetings have to be planned, they have to be executed well. The problem is that so often meetings are held, an email or project report would have been more effective, and when actions are given, the person who is accountable for the work doesn't do it. So let me know how many meetings you've come out of knowing full well that 3 or 4 people in that meeting have actions that are never going to be done. I cannot count on my hands how many times I've been into meetings where I know nobody's going to do anything that's come out of that meeting. So there are a whole number of reasons this is the case, but my next tactic is ensuring that your meeting notes that hold attendees accountable, and you act as the person who chases those actions through to completion. If you are in the meeting, you can help steer the outcome of the discussion by ensuring that action items are delivered clearly and consistently so that everyone knows what is expected of them once the meeting is over. So let's take a look at this. Here are some tips. Document actions during the meeting, not afterwards. Don't wait until the meeting to write down and assign your action items. After time has passed, it's too easy to forget the specifics and lose the nuance of what was discussed. There is a ton of technology available out there that means you don't have to really even write minutes anymore. You can just let something like Fireflies, or there's loads of them, otter.ai, where you no longer have to write minutes. You can let the technology literally translate and transcribe everything that is happening within the meeting. But what I would 100% still do is write down any action that comes up and the person who is responsible for that action. And then I would, at the end of the meeting, remind everybody of their actions. Take that 5 minutes at the end of the meeting to literally run through the action list so everybody knows the actions that they have. Don't wait until after the meeting to write down and assign your action items. After time has passed, it's too easy to forget the specifics and lose the nuance of what was discussed. Documenting tasks as you go ensures the details captured accurately and gives the person assigned to the action a chance to ask any clarifying questions at the end of the meeting. Include the following details for each action item: who the owner is, the description of the action, the deadline, and then link it to your meeting notes as well. Incorporate tasks in your to-do list following up on the actions. So you take those actions and you put them in your to-do list so that you are accountable for chasing those actions, and get a report on the progress of those actions before the next meeting. Lastly, circulate your meeting notes as soon as possible. As I said, technology is available now where you can get minutes out the next day, the same day, if you can. There is so much technology out now that just makes minute taking so much quicker and more accurate, to be fair, than us writing it down and then going off and typing it up like we used to do. So action them as soon as possible. And as I said, use the first 5 minutes of every meeting to check in on the previous meeting's actions items. Again, how many of us have been into meetings where we do that? We run through the action items of the last meeting, and shame, I hate to use the word shame, but it feels like it, when you the people are shamed because they haven't done the actions. You won't go into another meeting not having done your action, because it's awful when you have to stand in front of or sit in front of the meeting and say you haven't done the thing that was supposed to have been done months ago. So always make sure that you tick off those actions at the first 5 minutes of every meeting. So hopefully that should make your meetings a little bit more effective and keep momentum and tasks moving forward. Tactic number 3. Now that we've got to this point in the presentation, most of you will know what's coming next. Chasing your colleagues for outstanding work. Oh, big yawn. We all have to do it. Wouldn't it be amazing if our executives not our executives, although we could probably include them in that, our colleagues just did the things that they said that they were going to do when they said that they were going to do it. An assistant I recently interviewed for the EA Campus podcast said that a considerable part of her job is chasing people for things. And this rang such a chord with me. It's so true. So we need to turn this into an art form and something that helps move tasks forward and work gets completed on time. My first point is to make it easy for colleagues to reply to your follow-up requests. So imagine the scene. You've been asked to lead on a piece of work, for example, compiling a report or managing a new project. You must gather information from several colleagues to complete the work you have been given. As the days and the weeks go by, you have received most of the information you need, and most of your colleagues have been really helpful. However, you still need critical details from an individual staff member. No matter how much you've chased for this information, the person is yet to deliver and is delaying completing the task. Please give me a hands up on the chat. Let me know if this sounds familiar. I think we've all been in this position before. For assistants, it can be difficult. The likelihood of us having any authority over this person is minimal. More often than not, they will be more senior, if not working at the board level alongside our executive. Depending on how senior this person is, it can be inappropriate to chase them continually and the project or task grinds to a halt, making you, I hate to say it, but it can make you look incompetent. So what can assistants do when they need to chase colleagues for work, actions or tasks that have ground to a halt? Who do you report to? How do you report them? How do you get past this blockage? Let's have a look. So, follow-up requests. Be realistic with deadlines. And this is the first point. You must be realistic with your deadlines. Remember how annoying it is when someone asks you to do something urgent, when you both know the only reason the work is urgent is that it's been set on their desk for months. You need somebody to do something for you. Give them plenty of time to complete the task. Set reminders to follow up on their progress, not every day, but potentially once a week. And ask if they need any more information from you to get the job done. Always polite, always understanding, showing lots of empathy, but just always being in the back of their mind. Nice people, you're a nice person, this nice person needs something from me. If the work does require a quick turnaround, explain why it's urgent and how it fits into the bigger picture. So, as I said, be polite and show empathy. Let's face it, someone is more likely to complete some work for you if they like you. So be nice, be polite, ask nicely, and make them feel like they are unique and that they are really, really important in this piece of work. Now, again, I know that can feel like a massive waste of time, but having worked as an EA for a long time, I very well know, and I'm sure you all do, that extra time to build those relationships is really, really worth it. And as I said, one of our key skills is making other people feel really, really important. I always made colleagues feel like they were doing something super important when completing work for me, because the task was for someone who worked in the C-suite. If it wasn't my CEO, it was my COO. It was for like a huge important project, and it's going to make a huge difference to the business world, the business worldwide, the organization globally, and it's going to contribute to the business's success. Now, if you have chased that person a few times, as I said, try showing empathy and understanding. What's the issue that's causing them the delay? Ask them. Can you move the deadline? Can you work around the problem, or ask them to pass on the task to someone else? Is it that they've just not delegated it? Try to find out why they're not producing the goods before you get angry with them. You need to explain why it's important and why it's needed to you. As I said, when an assistant asks for something, co-workers should assume that the work is required for their executive or their executive's executive, so their manager's manager, or at the very least someone important in your office, or maybe a client. Usually people will get this work done if they're slightly worried that it's going to come back on them from a more senior person in the office that this work hasn't been done. But some people don't manage their time effectively for anybody, including the CEO of the organization. So you may find that you have to explain why the work is needed, who it's for, how it fits into the business's overall success, and why it's important to you and your executive. And then make the whole process easy for them. Make it easy for them to respond to your request. If it's literally to get their approval, ask them to reply with approved. Keep your communication short and sweet. Don't ask them for anything other than the thing that you need, and make it as small and as easy as possible. If the task is complicated, why not schedule a quick follow-up meeting, 15 minutes max, promise them a cup of coffee, to sit with them face to face and get what you need done. Some people are much easier at completing tasks if they feel that there is urgency or pressure. It's easy to say you will do something face-to-face or via email and forget about it 2 minutes later. So arranging a meeting with that person is a great way to create that sense of urgency. Another method is arranging a time at their desk so that you can sit there while they complete the work. It makes you an absolute pain in the arse, but it also ensures that the work is completed. I have been in that situation before. I remember working with a really, really keen new member of staff when I was working as an EA, and I had been asked to write a survey for a project that they were doing. I was the only person in the office that knew how to use the survey software, and this super keen new member of staff asked me if she could sit with me and learn how to use the software. Everyone thought it was a great idea. Oh, it means 2 people can use the software. I was like, do you know what? I'll just get it. I'm sure every one of you understands this. I just want to get it done on my own. Leave me to get on with it. But she sat next to me, and when she sat next to me, I sat and did the work. And actually, someone else learned the software as well, so it was all good. But sit at their desk while they're doing it. It does make you difficult, but it gets the work done. So I hope all of those tactics were useful in terms of chasing tasks, making sure stuff gets done, managing momentum. Before we finish up, I want to share one last framework that should help you move tasks forward. You can implement this into your work or help organise your executive team, whatever it happens to be. I think both are equally as important, and I use this and I absolutely love this framework. I'm sure many of you will be familiar with it. So it's from the Dave Allen book called Getting Things Done, and it is the GTD method. So to follow David Allen's GTD method, you must go through these 5 stages: capture, clarify, organize, engage, and reflect. And I'm going to talk through each one of these points now. I'm going to have a sip of drink first, if that's okay. So just to let you know before we move on, I know I'm moving at this at a pace. If you signed up for the webinar via the website and we captured your email address, then I will email you the slides after the presentation so that you have them and you can go through this again. Alternatively, you can watch this back. This is going to be up on YouTube straight after the session ends, so you can watch it back if you want to. Okay, so capture. The first step is capturing information. So storing everything in your mind leads to forgetting things, which is why we need an external hard drive, or what Alan likes to call an inbox. This is not your email or text messaging inbox. It's a physical or digital place to store your inputs, a notebook, an app, or document. Everything you encounter and rate as important, as well as everything that pops into your mind, such as a new idea, an event or a meeting, should be captured in your inbox. Make capturing information and storing it in your inbox right away. Make that a habit by using digital notes, spreadsheets, a physical notebook, Trello, Asana, whatever it happens to be. But make sure you take it out of your head and you put it somewhere, wherever that happens to be. Let us know on the chat, what some of your favorite places to store your information are. Could be a notebook, could be Trello, could be tasks, it could be OneNote, whatever it happens to be. Let us know in the chat. Next is clarify. So once your inbox is complete and you have stored everything out of your brain, it's time to organize. Here's Alan's straightforward guide on how to do it. So number one, assign a due date to everything that has a deadline. If there are items that can take less than 2 minutes to complete, do them right away. If, excuse me, if there's a task you could delegate to someone else, delegate it straight away. Set up reminders if there are things you need to remember to do later. If a task is no longer relevant, delete it. If a task requires several steps, break it down into smaller steps and go from there. Make items in your workflow framework as actionable and as specific as possible. So for example, instead of saying call Jeff, that's your item, you should say call Jeff to discuss project update, the project being this. So every task that you have, give it specificity. Make sure it's not random. So when you come back to it later, you've got no idea what it was. So try and make every task that you write down specific. Next up, we have organize. Organize your workflow by categorizing and labeling tasks or grouping them into projects. This is helpful so that you stay on track with projects or wide-ranging issues. And then I would tie this in with time blocking. So let us know in the chat if you do time blocking, if you know what time blocking is. We have tons of resources on Practically Perfect PA around time blocking. But time blocking is where you get all of your tasks and you put them into, say, all of your similar tasks and you put them into a time, and that's when you do all of your similar tasks. So phone calls, do it always on a Monday morning, that kind of thing. Another task organizing principle is making sure that you're doing things, theming days and weeks. So your days are themed under particular tasks or projects. So that could be, so this is great for your executive. I highly recommend this. It could be on a Monday, your executive has meetings. On a Tuesday, your executive writes reports. On a Wednesday, your executive has external meetings with clients. On a Thursday, they have an open door policy. On a Friday, they have deep thinking time. So I know that's really difficult to do, but it's called an ideal work week. And I highly recommend it. Again, have loads and loads of resources on Practically Perfect PA if you want to have a look at how you theme your weeks or you do time blocking. But the most important part of this is that you organize your workflow so that you can easily move from task to task. Up next, we have engage. So this is where all of the previous steps finally pay off. Action time. Your mind is decluttered and your tasks and intentions are perfectly organized. You know exactly what to do next and you are ready for action. And then lastly, well, it's worth saying with the engage mode that, as I said, your mind is clear to focus, momentum is easier to maintain. And then lastly, we have review. At the end of every day and every week, take a couple of minutes, more so at the end of every week, to reflect on your experiences. What did you do well? What are the things you're most satisfied with? What could be done better? Okay, so that was an absolute whistle-stop tour of ways you can add value to your organisation to help those around you manage momentum and keep tasks moving forward. If you are able to, excuse me, if you are able to manage all of this, you are going to be in such high demand if you show that a large part of your value is really ultimately getting stuff done. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that session. Before I choke to death, I am going to open up for questions. Please do let me know if there's any questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything you have. And while I'm waiting for questions to come through, I will have some drink and look at some of the chats. So just going back to some of the places that you store all of your information. Trello, that's a good one. Old school pen and paper, you can't beat it. Right, I love that. If I write it down, I will remember it. Excel spreadsheet with list of tasks. I'll pop this one up. Excel spreadsheet with list of tasks, who's responsible, the manager, etc. Everything in one place. Reminder in your calendar or monthly basis. Fantastic. That's really good advice. I think the other thing that's worth saying as well, if you are constantly chasing a more senior member of staff, do they have an assistant? If so, chase the assistant. Be that annoying assistant that chases other assistants for their executives' things. Speak to the assistant, find out why things are taking so long, what the bottlenecks are, what you can do to help. There's always people that you can find out information from as to why another member of staff is maybe struggling in certain areas. So again, just having that network and finding out really does help with momentum. As I said, if there are any questions, please do let me know. Otherwise, we can wrap up today's webinar. Just before we do, I will wait for any more questions if they come through. But just to let you know what we have coming up on Practically Perfect PA before our next webinar. Up next, we have our next virtual summit, which is in May. We are going to be covering a really good topic, which is efficiency in action. I'll pop the website address into the chat now for you. As always, our virtual summits are really popular. We've got a great set of speakers for this one, and similar to what we're doing now, we're covering some really good ground in productivity, efficiency, processes, procedures. So if you are interested in this topic, how to become more productive, how to help your organization with productivity, then this is a fantastic virtual summit for you. Other than that, our next webinar is going to be around consistent communication, and that is going to be on the 7th of June. What else do we have? Lots going on the website. Please do feel free to have a look. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. So no problem, absolutely. It sounds like I've covered everything that you need to know. As I said, I know that was an absolute whistle-stop tour. So for now, I will leave you with the slides and with the recording, which will be on YouTube. As I said, our next free webinar will be on the 7th of June, where we'll be talking about consistent communication about your needs. We'll be talking about boundary setting and things like that. And otherwise, I really hope to see you at the next virtual summit, which is going to be in May. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'm sure I will see you all again very soon. Take care.